G'day from the West, Lucas here, and today I'm coming to you from behind the camera as we unpack 2025, the year ahead, and my ladder predictions. But before we start, these ladder predictions, everyone's making them. We're all just basing it off speculation, educated guesses at who the premiers may be. We don't know what necessarily could go wrong, what could go right. So in the end, you've just got to guess. We'll get straight into it and start from the bottom. And I think it's a general consensus that Richmond will be getting the wooden spoon this season. They're young, but they're inexperienced, and I reckon it'll show this season. So I'm not too sure how many wins for them. Now, maybe the first surprise sort of for this video, I've gone with St Kilda in 17th. They could finish higher, but I think for me, I don't see a lot of promise with them. They had a terrible practice match. Yes, it was only a practice match, but there's really... If I was a Saints fan, I don't know what I'd be excited about. They've got a couple young guys coming through, but also Ross Lyon, I'm not sure if he is the man to take this club forward. They've gone back to him thinking he can take them forward. Have they just stagnated? Are they going backwards? I'm not too sure. But they're going to be an interesting watch this year, and I don't think they will do too well. Now, I've put Essendon in 16th, and this is probably a very ballsy move by me. I think this is a make or break here for the Bombers, and their practice match, there were promising signs there for Bombers fans, but just with the Bombers this year, and I don't know if it's every season, but I just have an impending doom sort of feeling. And I don't know if that's fair enough, or if that's fair to say or not, but I really think this is a very important year for the club. And when they're met with high stakes, they don't perform. So there could be some concerns for the Bombers. 15th in 2025, I've gone with the West Coast Eagles. Obviously, I've spoken a lot about them on this channel. I think they're very young. They're a bit inexperienced. They've also got the experienced heads in Liam Baker and Jack Graham who've come in. So that will provide a bonus for the Eagles. New game plan, new coach, Andrew McQualter. So that'll refresh them a bit. So little improvements this year for West Coast. In 14th, I have put North Melbourne, and it's just time now, really, in my eyes. They've got the elite talent through the door now. Their backline sure could do with some work, maybe a lot of work, in fact, but the most of it is there for North Melbourne, and it's time to get up the ladder. They've got an elite crop of young talent as well, led by a legendary coach in Alistair Clarkson. So he's there to spearhead the way and get them back up this ladder. If they do not make it up this year, surely there's going to be many questions asked. They've got the likes of Harry Sheasel there in vice captaincy now as the head of the young guys. So they've got most of the pieces in place, and you would expect that surely they start moving up the ladder, and you would hope that it starts this year. Now, I've gone with Melbourne in 13th, and for me, this is where the ladder really started to get tricky. Any of these last teams could finish anywhere, really, if you think about it. But I've just got the D's finishing in 13th. They seem to have their off-field issues mostly sorted out, which is a promising sign for them. But on-field, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to recapture that epic form that saw them won the 2021 flag. Is Simon Goodwin still the man to take them forward? I'm not sure. Maybe he is. Obviously, he's got Christian Petrarca back in his weaponry now for this season. So that's also a plus for the Demons. And it'll be an improvement on last year if they manage 13th. But they're in a bit of no man's land, I think, the Demons at the moment. In 12th, I have gone with the Gold Coast Suns, and to keep it short and sweet, I just don't think I trust them yet. I mean, I've seen a few people saying they'll probably be there and abouts come finals month, but I just need to see more of it. I don't think I saw enough last year from the Gold Coast Suns to believe that they can make the finals. I think if you make finals, you need to win most of your home games, which they did, and win quite a few, or at least 2 or 3 away from home, which they're not quite at. So if they can make that leap this year, advance in that this year, that would be good. And I think next year is the year for the Suns. In 11th, I have gone with the Western Bulldogs. Could be a bit of a wild card draw, I don't know. Obviously, it's a contract year for Luke Beveridge, so there will be pressure on him to perform. But I think they're a very interesting prospect going into this season. Obviously, there's sort of a bit of shades of Melbourne last year about them. They could fall into a bit of a little hole, but their injuries are a big concern for mine. It's the pre-season injuries that they have done. Most of these players are best 23 players for them. Captain Marcus Bontempelli out as well. So the big thing is I think they'll be playing a lot of catch-up. Could work in their favour, could not. I don't think it will. And combined with the off-field dramas that they are now having, it could be a year to forget for some Bulldogs fans. With Adelaide, I have put them in 10th position. They could range anywhere from about 10th to 5th, really. But a lot of people have them making finals. I'm not too sure. I think it's a bit more, again, a bit like Gold Coast. The trust factor for me is just I don't quite trust them to make it. They've got Matty Nicks now 5 completed seasons without making the finals. A 6th would be detrimental to his coaching hopes. But I do like the recruits they've brought in. Alex Neil-Bullen, Isaac Cumming, I think makes them a stronger side. So they'll make a case, but the question is, can they recapture the exciting 2023 form that just missed out on the finals? Now, controversially to some, I have Hawthorn in 9th, missing finals. Obviously, they've added Barras and Battle, so they've only gotten stronger, really. But the big thing for mine is, can they deal with this newfound attention? Now, Sam Mitchell at the helm, brilliant coach if you ask me. But after a magic 2024 campaign, things are going to change this season with the extra spotlight on them, and teams will hunt them, unlike what we saw last year when the Hawks were more the hunters. So that is something that they'll have to work through. But it's worth noting that 9th in 2024, they ended up on 52 points. So if that, it wouldn't be a disaster if similar happened to the Hawks, but I reckon they'll just miss out this year. For finals in 2025, I have Carlton slotting in at 8th, and I think they're a finals quality side this year. They definitely have enough stars to get there in their side on their list. Michael Voss, I think he's a pretty decent coach, but I think it'll be an up and down year for the Blues. I think we often see that with Carlton, but I have faith they'll do enough to be able to make and hopefully be a genuine threat come September time. So I'm predicting an up and down year for Carlton, but I think they'll make it. Now the Giants, I've popped them into 7th position, probably a bit lower than most people have them. I've seen a lot of people pop them into the top 4, into premiership contention, and it's well deserved. They're very well coached by Adam Kingsley. I am a big fan of his. I reckon he's one of the best in the competition. But for me, I'm concerned about what they've lost and what they've gained. They obviously traded out Peatling, Cumming and Haynes, and they didn't trade anyone back in. They hit the draft okay, but in that sense, I think they've sort of lost more than they've gained. And then you've also got Tom Green out for the first few weeks of the season with an injury, and he's important for them. So I think they'll definitely still make it. But if they do hit their straps and things start to fall into place, especially towards the back end of the season, they could be very dangerous. So 7th for the Giants. And so Collingwood have found themselves in 6th position on my ladder predictions. They have had a big off-season, obviously recruited 2 players who look very good for them from what we've seen so far, Dan Houston and Tim Membry. And they've gone all in. There's no doubt about that. They're ready to go for a big season after probably a bit of a down year last year after winning the flag the year before. So yeah, they look set to prime themselves probably one more time before this list sort of starts to turn over a bit. A few veterans retire. Hopefully the cliff doesn't come too quickly for them. But if everything goes right and most pieces fall into place, they could be really scary this year. Definitely top 6 quality for Collingwood. Now the Swans just miss out on another top 4 finish. I've got them sliding in at 5th. Obviously, the big change over the off-season. Dean Cox taking the reins from John Longmire. And the Swans, I think this change of coach will do them good. I think it's the best case scenario. The refresh will be monstrous towards another good campaign for the Swans. I think they look ready to go. Dean Cox looks like he has his program set, his tactics, his game style all set up already. 7 years under Longmire will do that. But he looks ready. The Swans look ready. And I do think that if all goes to plan and Dean Cox's sort of pieces come together, I do think the Swans will be another scary proposition for this year. I have the Dockers making it into my top 4 for this year. It's obvious. The list is there. They're ready to go. They should make a push for it. The coach, there's probably a couple question marks over Justin Longmuir. I reckon he can pull some tricks out the bag, get it done. The midfield is just absolutely star-studded. Brayshaw, Sarong, Young. So anything less of top 4, I reckon, would be a disappointment. Now, maybe a bit surprising to some, I've gone with Port Adelaide in third. Obviously, again, another big headline over the off-season was the changing of coach, the succession plan, Ken Hinkley into his final year. Port Adelaide always do very well in the home and away season. They've consistently made it. I think they've missed finals once or twice during Ken Hinkley's time. So, simply put, I just believe they'll be up there again. I think the succession plan will sort of release the shackles for Ken, and he can just have one last sustained crack at it. I have got the reigning premiers, the Brisbane Lions, coming in at second on the ladder. And they've lost Joe Danaher, so that is a big loss for them. But Levi Ashcroft looks like a massive, massive addition to this side. I think they're probably only going to get stronger, which is a bit scary. Obviously, they got Oscar McInerney, Kitty Coleman, Lincoln McCarthy, all coming back in for this Brisbane side. And they will only make them stronger. So I think they'll be up there again. And they'll be able to buck the trend sort of the premiership hangover and really have a genuine crack at back-to-back. And my minor premiership position for first place, the Geelong Cats. And they are just consistent. They are so consistent. It's probably a bit of a safe bet, really, to say that they'll make the top four, make the minor premiership. I think Bailey Smith is a great addition for them. I think they'll be quicker. Chris Scott, obviously quite a good coach there at the helm for them. And I think they'll just be up there yet again. Now, in terms of the flag this year, it's probably a pretty tight race, but I'm backing in the Lions. I reckon they will be able to go back-to-back, like I just mentioned before. Very, very strong. They've got those guys coming back, so that'll give them a big boost. But I think the Dockers faithful will have something to cheer about. A brilliant list for them, and I'm backing them in to make it all the way to the last weekend in September. And then you've got a couple other awards, and I'm backing in Caleb Sarong for the Brownlow. I think he is a very underrated player within the competition, and he's got up there a few times, so I'm backing him in this year, and I'm going all in on WA, and I'm backing in Jake Waterman for his first Coleman medal. Looked very good last season. I think he's only going to get better this year. And Levi Ashcroft for the Rising Star. So there we go, guys. There are my AFL 2025 predictions, the ladder predictions. Brisbane taking out the title, going back-to-back against Freo in probably a close granny, I reckon. But that's all here from Footy West today. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think of the predictions, and I hope to see you again back soon on Footy West.